Hi, Lynne Tucker Carnivore here, and Ribeye Ranger Jim and I recently returned from the last official Healing Humanity meetup, that's M-E-A-T, before the release of their highly anticipated documentary, Healing Humanity, The Power of a Proper Human Diet, which we believe will happen in the spring of 2026. We each spoke about our personal reasons why we initially tried carnivore and why we intend to eat that way for the rest of our lives. After the event was over, we were asked if anyone recorded what we had said, and we were so excited and honored to be there that no, we did not. But I thought I would create this reenactment video so that you could hear what I had said and perhaps feel like you were there. If any of you get a chance to attend a meetup in the future, I suggest you go. It's wonderful to listen to the inspirational stories of others, see how they did what they did, see why they're feeling and looking so great. Ribeye Ranger and I, Lynne Tucker Carnivore, have our own YouTube channels as well. And in addition to this video, I want to suggest out of all the videos we did, you additionally watch these three. Our 500-day video, which talks about tips and tricks along the way. Our 2-year Carniversary video, which tells you what it was like to actually reach that pinnacle of success, and our fear video. That kind of goes through why so many are apprehensive to start carnivore, might help you along your way, and may help answer some questions for others that ask you, what's it like? I don't know if I can do this or that. So take a look at those as well, and I'll put a link down in the description to each one of those videos. So here goes from a person who had great blood work, wasn't overweight, no chronic illnesses, not on any medications, didn't even have to go carnivore, but instead chose to. This is going to be a bit of a twist on a traditional carnivore story because I initially learned all that I knew about carnivore from my dogs. Yeah, early on in my YouTube channel, I did a video called Carnivore for Canines. And that tearjerker is worth a watch, but it also explains why in 2018, I became a one-woman crusader to get kibble out of the mouths of dogs and get this, replace it with a species-specific real food diet. Never once putting 2 and 2 together that humans should do the same, and certainly not me. At the time, I was between 115 and 120 pounds. I'm 5'4". Even when I started carnivore, I weighed 122. And my blood work, like I said, would have given Dr. Barry, I could have gotten a 2 huzzah from him on that one. So why me and why carnivore? Well, I'm sure that the health results that I saw from my dogs made an impact. But even earlier than that, my brother was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. And I don't know if you know this, but if a guy's PSA gets anywhere near 4, doctors start getting concerned. My brother's was 2100. Not to worry though. His friend said all he had to do was go to Mexico, they had a program, and he'd be healed. Well, he checked it out. And for $60,000, it would have been a 2-pronged approach, one being psychological. And since he was a 101st Army Airborne Ranger with a Bronze Star, that was okay. He wanted to know what they ate. Smart guy. Lasted almost 5 years, and he spent his last 9 months with us. And so we ate what he ate. And essentially that was what they suggested. And essentially what I now know to be keto, with a lot more fruit juices and fruits and vegetables. You know, the healthy foods. Seeing what cancer did to him, that is a pretty strong carnivore why. And then Jim had his knee replacement and the recovery, and he just didn't feel right. Lots of aches and pains. And so he searched the internet and found this video by Carrie Mann of Homestead How. He came to me and said, Lynn, there's this video I want you to watch. I only ate meat for 30 days. And he healed all these things. So some of which I have, and I'm just wondering your thoughts. So I told Carrie, These are my thoughts. I now know, after watching that video, why so many people's lives have been changed, and they were blessed for having seen that video. And Carrie kept talking about Dr. Berry, so we watched Dr. Berry videos and learned a ton. And after that, we went through our pantry, we went through our refrigerator, and we used that little known formula. 4 grams of carbohydrates equals an entire teaspoon of sugar. We read those labels and did the math in horror. We didn't have cakes and cookies and candies in the pantry. It was a normal pantry. And it was unbelievable the amount of carbohydrates we were eating. So we donated our rice maker and we donated our toaster. That one hurt me personally a bit, but we were carnivore. 3 months into carnivore, I went for my first blood work. And I met John in the office. John was a very thick man, and he was the one who drew the blood. I, on the other hand, had not reached my 6-month point in carnivore where I got that little voice in my head that said, you know, I want to be stronger. I want to have Maggie arms. I want to go to the gym. What have I done with myself? I want to go to the gym? But yes, I had no veins at that point, and John jabbed away as he might in my arm with no results, and ended up in my hand with a baby needle. But it gave me time to talk to John about carnivore, and I handed him my carnivore reference card. And I said, John, you already know the benefits of keto. John, this is the next step. It's your health, John. Carnivore is life-changing. Well, 8 months after that, I go back for my 11-month carnivore blood work. And may I say, John had the Mississippi River to work with in my arm this time with an adult needle. And before I could even say, John, you're looking really good, he grabs me and hugs me and says, Lynn, this carnivore thing is amazing. I've lost 80 pounds since you saw me last. Yeah, that's 80 pounds in 8 months. I was taken back, but he said more. He's like, Lynn, in addition, I am on the down low telling every one of our patients about carnivore. Lynn, it's healing. It's life-changing. I love when they say that. Well, my next step was going to take a look at my blood work once it came in with my nurse practitioner. And incidentally, that 2 huzzahs from Dr. Berry before, I think that'll turn into a 4 because my blood work got that much better. Your HDL is supposed to be high and your triglycerides are supposed to be low. My HDL went from mid-70s up to 84. My triglycerides went from low 70s down to 54. Before carnivore, my cholesterol was 197. After carnivore, in 3 months, 269. And then at 11 months, it went down to 216. My LDL 117. My A1C went from 5.4 to 5.5 because, like Dr. Berry says, my red blood cells were living longer. She was impressed. And she said, you know, there's a lot of my patients asking about carnivore lately. To which I'm silently thinking, good work, John. But I said, what do you tell them? And she said, you know that card you gave me? Well, I take it out and I let them take a picture of it with their phones. And I tell them, I don't know enough about carnivore to recommend it. But these doctors on YouTube do. And these 2 on the card are our patients, and they're doing beautifully. What I suggest doing is taking a look, do your own research, and figure out what's best for you. Wow, I wish I could clone her. Boy, if doctors sounded like that, right? It gets better. 2 months after that, I'm checking out my glasses and my prescription. Wait a minute, it's better. I can see better without them than I can with my glasses, and I'm starting to get headaches. So I go see my eye doctor, right? Well, this is a highly respected eye doctor from Austin, Texas, who has moved out to the country, in his later years for a better life. I tell him what I just said to you, and he proceeds to give me the C-talk. Lynn, as we age, our objects appear closer, and we think we see better. But in essence, the aging eye is more than likely developing a cataract. I'm like, great. So we do our, is this better, that better, is this better, that better, for a little dance for a while. And then the pause. You know those little stools they sit on? Well, he reeled that off to the side. He crossed his arms. He tilted his head like Dr. House and said, well, that's impressive. To which I said, how so? To which he answered, well, no cataract can do that. To which I'm silently excited, saying, oh, I've healed something, but I was cool. And I said, what do you mean? He proceeded to tell me the technicals, but it meant 5 measurements of improvement in this eye and 2 in my left. Yeah. He said, I got to take this out to the front desk. I've got to hand this to her in person because she is not going to believe me. She's going to think I made a mistake. So we go out in front, right? Behind me, all the people that are waiting to see the doctor, all the people waiting to get their glasses since they've come in, and all the people that are waiting to be fit for glasses. Audience. She says, what is this? I say, loud enough for them to hear me, it's the carnivore diet. Like I told the doc, if I'd been diabetic, my eyesight would have gotten worse, right? Well, I eat the most anti-inflammatory food, and because of it, I've lost the bad visceral fat around my organs, and I have lost the inflammation in my body, and apparently I had some in my eyes because now I see better, markedly better. Look! So now everyone's buzzing. They want to know what's going on, and I'm passing out carnivore reference cards like they're poker chips. It was wonderful, and I told everyone, if I can have this kind of an impact, imagine the impact you're going to have. Imagine your before and afters, visually proving that carnivore helps and heals. And now we've got RFK Jr. on television telling everybody he's carnivore and looking the part. We've got the Secretary of Transportation's wife telling everybody that her husband eats the caveman diet and he's doing pull-ups in the airports. And we've got a Secretary of Agriculture who gets it. And she confirmed what we learned at the Healing Humanity dinner in Tampa, that from the ranchers, that the meat processors are too few and far between. We need more of them to create competition. And we need time to create calves into cattle. And we've got to support our ranchers. And now we've got the support of Revero.com. We've got the American Diabetes Society.org. We've got the Kilt's Mighty Tribe. And we've got Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Nelson every morning on YouTube, answering questions, helping people heal. And we've got the very best documentary of the century in healing humanity. And the upcoming book, the upcoming series. You guys, we can right the wrongs of Rockefeller and Kellogg and Keyes because we know we've been lied to. So many still don't. And the biggest lie, the one so many bought into for so long, you don't matter. It's the personal stories that do matter. That's what Dr. Kiltz always told us. We are the grassroots foundation for all of this change. And you matter to me, a person, for all intent and purposes, people in the know, why in the world would you go carnivore? Why do something so crazy? But I listened to all of you. I heard what everyone went through. I watched Dr. Berry tell a man, you're no longer diabetic. I remember when I was a little girl and dear Mr. Husted across the street had diabetes, and the adults would talk about the sugar boils on his feet and that he couldn't see very well anymore. And when I grew up, my friend's brother told me that dialysis felt like someone was beating his legs with a baseball bat. Dr. Berry told a man, you're no longer diabetic, something everyone thought they had to go through for the rest of their lives. And now they've reversed type 2. That mattered to me. And because of all of the stories that I heard, I sleep better. I think more clearly. My blood works better. My eyesight's better. I have muscles. I lost 3 inches in my waist. I weigh what I did in high school. I just turned 70 in December, but I feel 35. And I tried on my wedding dress the other day, of decades ago, and it fit. So if someone asks you a seemingly mundane question like, how you doing today? And you answer back the way we all feel, I'm better than I ever dreamed I could be. They're gonna wanna know why. And when you tell them, please realize you just might be the light that lifts another person out of darkness. So thank you for telling me your stories and the opportunity to share mine with all of you.